Good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Crichton, and it's been very interesting listening to the presentations so far. I'm stepping in for our admissions tutor, Alistair McCallie, and so apologies for being a substitute. I'd like to talk to you today about navigation and maritime science, particularly with the view that we're in a slightly different situation to many of the programs my colleagues have described to you today. We are a well-established program, and you can see just on this front slide here a few of our facilities: a marine simulator and a very nice yacht, which we use for as a floating lab, actually. So, what do we do? Well, we supply quality graduates to work in all sectors of the maritime industry. Fundamentally, we have about 50% of our students on track to become merchant Navy deck officers. So roughly half the students that enroll with us will be on that accredited route towards a career at sea. They'll probably start as third officers and work their way up. Most of them staying within the industry on average, certainly for UK, roughly 8 years is the average, and then they will move ashore. This is an interesting issue. The seagoing phase for the majority of these students is the first phase of a far broader maritime career. They'll come ashore having that experience and working in the shore-based side of the broader maritime sector. In addition to that, we also have a group of students who are interested in working on super yachts. They're very, very focused on that side of the industry. And as super yachts have become larger, what we're finding is that there is a transition from the merchant Navy side to super yacht, because you need that commercial ticket to drive these very large vessels. We also have some students who are interested in small craft, yachts and sailing, and we cater for these students as well. And whilst it is very easy to look at that sector as purely the leisure sector, in fact, we find that we've got a good number of people that are professional racers, and these people are really quite amazing. So we've had people that have come to us, some on a Olympic sailing trajectory, fully sponsored with coaches, and then essentially these are athletes who are very, very focused on succeeding in their discipline, as well as offshore racers. So you'll see the Vendée Globe has just started. We've got students who are on track for these large ocean races. As skipper now, you can imagine there's a high rate of attrition, and I think we had 2 students, and the minimum that they had to raise through their campaigns to get to this, or certainly for the next Vendée Globe, from their side, is just over £1 million. So they're managing these businesses and developing careers as racers, and we've got a number of students who've been very, very successful in that area. Of course, what will typically happen is that they will have a window of opportunity in that area, and they'll either make it, or they'll have a good deal of success, or they will move because of opportunity into the management organisation of these events. So of that 50%, then some are very, very focused on commercial shipping. A small proportion are super yacht focused and yacht skippering, so either leisure or professional racers. What about the other group there? Well, they're interested in navigation, they're interested in ships, they're interested in all the technology that's used, and they don't actually want to go to sea. So they're interested in in studying navigation, they have an interest in that, but they want to start their career in the shore-based sector. Now, many of these students will go on to M-level courses, and when we articulate directly to international shipping here, and these students will end up in very different places. So they'll end up not going to sea. Some of them work for example, the UK Hydrographic Office or other hydrographic organisations, because hydrographic offices are not just about making charts. It's all about the safety of navigation and other forms of information to mariners, meteorology, ship management, brokerage, all the shore-based infrastructure. We've even got some that have gone on to represent unions. So the Seafarers Union, they're working within there. I've got ex-students working with Nautilus, and a very, very broad range of shore-based infrastructure, which is hidden. Shipping is a hidden industry. So without it, we would have virtually nothing. The world depends on the transportation of goods and materials, and so they're fulfilling a vital role. The tip of the spear are those at sea, but there's this massive hidden shore-based infrastructure that supports that. And you can see there a group of students in one of our simulators, and they're enjoying this very practical form of learning. So for those of you that may not be sure about the difference, when we're talking about small craft, this is the sort of thing that you would typically imagine, small yachts and small power-driven boats, and in the UK, these are organised by the qualifications from the Royal Yachting Association. However, the majority of our students are focused on either going to sea or working in support of far larger vessels. And we've got a couple of very nice super yachts there, just to show you a couple of super yachts under sail. And there are a variety of trades. So cruise industry, which we're obviously familiar with at the moment, so it's heavily discussed, certainly under COVID. We've got and they've suffered a contraction just now, but they will bounce back, and we've got a number of students working in cruise industry, offshore support, containerized vessels, bulk carriage, and certainly in oil and gas. So a wide variety, and essentially it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you start. You can move around within this industry, and so our students will have an education that allows them to move into any sector of that industry. The broader maritime industries, as we've discussed there, we've got students working in meteorology, certainly for commercial forecasting, some for engineering applications, others for shipping applications. Students working in the management of ships, so ship management and management of ships through refits, working for large yards, because they understand ships and shipping. So the refit of these things and management of the refits, as well as the development of satellite systems and management of satellite systems and products for those systems. So Inmarsat systems, as well as working with a lot of the GNSS providers there. So there's lots going on with this broader maritime industry, and it's not something that you can roll up and say, okay, here is a definitive pathway. It's quite disparate. The business side of it and the technical side come together really in a navigation and maritime science student, because they have enough understanding of the business and the technical to be able to form a bridge between those areas. So in order to do this, we've got two products, a BSc and a foundation degree. The only reason we have a foundation degree and maintain a foundation degree is that many of the sponsoring companies in the UK prefer this. And we can see a couple of students here out in the first year aboard the yacht. So they're out learning to sail and learning to navigate safely outside of the simulator. Simulator is absolutely an excellent facility. It does have its limitations. So being out with the wind in your face and experiencing the feel of a vessel moving under you is very, very important. The bachelor's degree is 3 years full time. However, we run an integrated training program for those that are sponsored, and that takes it to 4 years. And we'll talk to you more about that in a little while. So to move a ship, some of these are like small chemical plants, and you know, incredibly complex, incredibly large elements that require a very broad range of skills to be able to operate safely. So you've got to understand technology. You need to understand the technology of the ship itself. You need to understand what keeps it upright. What are the operating limits? You need to understand how you would safely load and discharge cargoes from that vessel. You would need to also understand some of the navigation technologies there. So you need to understand how you determine position. Of course, nowadays we're familiar with the GPS satellites, but there are a range of GNSS, global navigation satellite systems, which have expanded rapidly, densification of the orbits, and provide a completely different set of solutions now than we had years ago. So we've moved away from the traditional issue within navigation with determining position. Now we're really understanding managing quality of position and making sure that navigation is safe, as we certainly move into a generation of disruption through jamming, spoofing, and the potential for cyber attacks in this area. So understanding this technology is very, very important. Other typical bridge technologies would include radar, automatic identification systems, as well as all the subsystems that control the ship. So a lot of technological understanding there, from quite traditional elements such as you know, gyroscopic theory to understand gyro compasses, and on the other side of that coin, understanding the magnetic compass, which has been with us for generations. There will obviously be a certain amount of science that the student will need to understand. So we've talked about the global circulation of the ocean, understanding currents, understanding tides, understanding weather patterns, all the way from the simple weather patterns through to dealing with tropical revolving storms, and always in the context of safe navigation. So not just safe navigation, but optimal navigation. So we're talking about as well as remaining safe, optimizing in terms of fuel efficiency, and resolving issues that cause global warming through excess carbon. So very simply, the choices that the navigators make and the way that ships are run will have an impact in the future. So we need to understand the science behind that. And then there's a whole tranche of navigation itself. So this is, as you imagine, is dealing with things like the shape of the Earth, movement upon the surface of the Earth, down to understanding some mathematics, spherical trigonometry, being able to plan a passage from A to B in a safe and optimal manner. There's a huge amount of business and law that goes into navigation and maritime science. So if you're aboard a ship, you've got all the ship's business, and you are subject to international law. You've got to be aware of this, you've got to understand it, you've got to be able to work with maritime administrations and maintain that business, maintain your standing legally, and understand the implications of what it is you're doing, the decisions you make. You're also leading people, often in quite difficult circumstances. So management and leadership is an embedded function of what we teach. And of course, this ties in with the typical key graduate skills that you would expect a navigator to have. So this is a very broad set of skills that are required, and these are defined in part by the International Maritime Organization through the Safety Training Certification of Watchkeepers, STCW, and that syllabus is embedded in our program. So we satisfy that. We satisfy those international requirements. In order to become a deck officer, a seafarer, you would need to be on the accredited program. So the program runs, and in parallel we'll have a number of students, 50% roughly, who are accredited, and the other 50% who are not. They'll be taught the same things. They'll sit side by side in labs. They'll go to sea together on our small fleet of vessels. They will do the same courseworks. However, 50% will be sponsored, and that sponsorship is what puts you on the accredited pathway. This means that you work in conjunction with a shipping company who will provide you essentially with the minimum requirement of 12 months sea time. So this 12-month sea time, of which is reduced in the UK to 12 months because of our simulation facilities, is critical. It's the key to sponsorship. And what that means is you will go to sea at 2 points. The first point of going to sea will be in the summer between the first and second year, and then you'll come back, study in the second year. And then you'll take a whole year out, slightly more than a year actually. And there are two opportunities to get this 12-month sea time. It's not just time at sea. And we work with the MNTB, which is the Merchant Navy Training Board, and the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency. The MNTB produce what is called a training record book. So the time at sea is part of the official training required for what we call an officer of the watch. And that book must be completed aboard an STCW approved vessel by an appropriate person. Once that is approved, students can come back, finish off their final year, take their professional examinations, and then go to sea as a ship's officer. The sea time, as I said, is critical. The sponsorship covers more than typically just the sea time. So a typical sponsorship deal will be a living wage, something like £180 a week, plus course fees paid, plus about £8,000 worth of professional short courses. So it's a fantastic deal, and one that guarantees a very good career. And typically, as I say, that career spans on average eight years, and then there's a move to shore-based role. So, excuse me, the requirements for our students on this sponsored route are slightly higher, obviously because we're taking some professional safety examinations which are required. So that's in terms of the scores they've got to get and the percentages, but actually, it's something that they're typically very focused, because they are driven by their sponsors, by the requirements of industry, and certainly that year, all those periods at sea, really bring to life what it is they're doing. In the UK, we have a government scheme for this, and the government scheme is the tonnage tax. And companies sign up for this, and this provides the money for these students. In addition, smart funding is downloaded. Now, these are UK sponsorship schemes. Now, and I appreciate speaking to agents for overseas students. This is something we need to really understand. These schemes are for UK residents, and it's a very important issue here for us, because we need to understand the business model now that you can employ in your home countries and your regions of interest in order to be able to do business with us here. So sponsorship for overseas students in the UK is difficult, because the UK government will not spend money on overseas students training here. So if you are an overseas student, you would not be eligible for money from the tonnage tax, the Merchant Shipping Education Fund, or certainly for SMART funding. At the moment, for EU students, we have the ability for them to spend a year in the UK, gain residency, and then they are eligible for that sponsorship. Now, for overseas students, that's never been the case. We do have a number of overseas students, and we've got some very good relationships around the world, Singapore, Hong Kong in particular. And we've actually had a student from Nepal, that well-known maritime region, who's very successful and actually was sponsored. So these students are often have connections to shipping companies in their own countries and their own maritime administrations, but it is difficult. So some overseas students, like 50% of our UK students, don't want to go to sea, but they are interested in navigation. So we're very happy to take them on that understanding that they will not be eligible for sponsorship, and they don't have to worry about finding sponsorship within their own country. So where should we focus? One of the areas that we've been focusing, certainly in Singapore, Hong Kong, and mainland China, is a focus on final stage direct entry with a top up to bachelor's. So in many countries, there are a number of seafarers who come out of what we would call foundation degree level. They spend some time at sea typically, and then in coming ashore, they're looking to top up. So we're very happy, because of the international nature of seafarer training and education, to be able to say pretty much that if you are at foundation level and you have covered the STCW syllabus, that we can take you into directly into our final stage, which gives you then access to international shipping master's degrees, etc. And this is something that we're very interested in working with you to develop. So I think one of the solutions to business here is to look at links with maritime training establishments in your own countries, and with our international office is to look at articulations for existing students, but also many of these institutions have very good alumni organisations, and if we can have access to and mine those alumni organisations, we can actually advertise to qualified seafarers working in the industry at that point of thinking of coming ashore and thinking, well, actually a bachelor's, maybe a bachelor's master's route would be very good for us. And we'd be very happy to organise those sorts of discussions and those sorts of links, and to be able to bring students in direct entry into stage 3 who are in that position. I think for us that's and for you that will certainly be an easier sell. So slightly different to the other programs here, because of the requirement for funding, the requirement for sponsorship, and the types of the requirements for that within country. I think it's just gone 11 o'clock. I'm going to stop there, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have around that. And I see Bogdan's winding me up. We've run out of time, so I'm going to stop now. Thank you.